Right now, the Common Core math practice standards describe what and how students learn math and what they're to do with the math while they're learning it. Mathematical practice standard number 4, which is shown on the screen here, indicates the importance of students applying math to solve real world problems and tasks, of which word problems are a part. Students are to solve such problems from the early grades through the end of high school. This standard is present really in almost all state standards in one form or another, whether they're using the Common Core anymore or not. And this one is a quote from Adding It Up. And take a moment to read that. So I'll pause for a few seconds while you have a chance to read that over. So solving real world and math word problems are included now in state standards because research has emphasized the importance of applying math, creating mathematical models for problematic situations, and using models, be it a graph, an equation, a diagram, or whatever, to solve a problem. This excerpt from the seminal work Adding It Up, published by the National Research Council back in 2001, is just one example of synthesis of research around this. So before we launch, however, into direct discussion on the techniques, I want to actually challenge you with a math problem, which I'll use to illustrate some of those techniques. By the way, there is a PDF of this and another handout on our website, and Emily has just posted up in the chat area the URL for where you can get and download this problem as well as another handout we're going to have later on. You don't need to go do it right now. You can just look at the problem on the screen and use that for reference, but that's a resource that you can go to later on if you want. This problem is called counting trees. This is from the Mathematics Assessment Resource Center, MARS, or at mathshell.org, also known as the Mathematics Assessment Project. Throughout today's session, I'll use problems from a variety of sources, actually, such as MARS, Engage, New York, Eureka Math, Open Up Resources, Envision Math, Ready Classroom. And just by way of explanation, our team of math consultants at CORE provides support in schools for whichever program a school or district has. And it just so happens that over the last couple of years, these programs have popped up a lot in the schools we work with. So it's really easy for me to pull problems from these particular ones. My purpose is not to advocate for any of these programs. I'm just letting you know what the resources are I'm using and giving credit where credit's due, that's all. And again, I realize some of you may be rusty on some of the math and some of the problems. The problems are pulled from 4th grade up through middle school curricula. Don't worry if that's the case for you. Focus on the process or techniques being modeled, not so much on the actual math. All right, so back to the problem on the screen, and it's in that handout. We have a diagram that represents a forest of some sort. The circles represent old trees and the triangles represent young trees. Really, you know what, I wonder how many trees of each type there are in that diagram in this forest. You know, I can already tell you, there are 50 columns and there are 50 rows. But exactly how many trees, how many of each kind, I don't know at the moment. So I'd like you to feel free. I'd like you to look at it and write down a guess, a very quick estimate of how many old and how many young trees you think are in that diagram. Enter your guess in the chat window, as a matter of fact. You have 30 seconds from now to enter your guess. I'm not looking for any real statistical analysis at this point. You're just like, gee, I think there's a million. Well, there's not a million, I'll tell you right now, but some number between 1 and a million, all right? So go ahead and take your guess, put it in the chat window.